Hey everybody, sorry about that. Some technical difficulties going on. So if you can hear us better now, let us know. Leave a comment for Greg so we can determine if we need to, restart this again and figure out our microphone. But we're hoping we figured it out. We want to thank everybody for being here and the patience it is right now to get us fired up now. But there's a lot of stuff going on, and we haven't been here in 2 weeks. There's a lot of news with the Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Sabres. Toronto's in Buffalo now, so you should probably get out and watch a baseball game if you can. Major league team that doesn't happen very often. So there's just a lot going on. And Graham and I are very sorry we couldn't be with you last week. Had a lot of circumstances come up that we needed to work around, and we're here now. It's good to see you, kid. I'm glad we're on the mic.
Yeah, I am too, man. I'm excited. I would like to apologize to everybody that is here. Yeah, it sucks. But hopefully we got it figured out now.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just excited to be back. I'm ready to get into it, though, man. Let's dive right into this freaking number one overall pick.
Yeah, so the Sabres, if you haven't heard, have gotten the number one overall pick. I'm sure if you're a Sabres fan, you're already up to date on that. Owen Power, consensus number one player as it sits right now. One of the questions I have for Graham, though, man, is, we are very youthful at the defensive side with the Sabres.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the Sabres need more youth in the forward category to the point where we might be taking the best forward available, or are we just going to stick with the consensus number one pick in Owen Power?
So the difference with the NHL and the NFL is that there's a time for development.
Yep.
Rasmus Dahlin really didn't go through that because he was the consensus number one guy.
Okay.
He was going to be NHL ready when he came out.
Mm-hmm.
Owen Power is the consensus number one, but he's not exactly NHL ready. So you look at that, and then you look for what you need, right? You're not going to draft a forward over the consensus number one because of what you need right now.
Right.
What you need right now is not going to be the same thing as what you need in 3 years.
4 years.
Or 2 years.
Yep.
So you take the best player that the scouts say that there is at the spot. Take the best guy.
Okay.
That's period. End of story.
Yep.
Owen Power is going to be the number one overall pick unless somebody else makes a case for it.
Okay.
And then it's a decision time.
Right.
But until then, you're taking the top guy, whether he's the young youthful defenseman, and you already have a stable of them. Now you have this guy who's better than guys that you have in your organization.
Right.
You can use that young youth that you have above him that's closer to being NHL ready to trade away
to get
the assets that you need.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Owen Power, I believe, just won the gold medal with Canada.
Yes,
today. That happened today. So he's a part of a good team. That's a positive. That league is I would say it's a pretty attractive league to be in.
Well, the world, it's the IIHF World Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's players from all over the world. I think Tage Thompson's in there playing for the U.S. Somebody else on our team's playing for Sweden. I think Victor Olofsson.
Yep.
There's guys that are already in the organization that are in this tournament, or maybe it's not the same tournament. It might not be the same tournament.
I think Tage Thompson is in this. Yes.
I don't think it might not be the same one.
Okay.
I'd have to check on that.
Okay.
But the talent level for Team Canada throughout all of their age groups is outstanding. Obviously, Canada is the big producer of NHL talent, second to Russia, other than Russia, I should say. Pretty much any player that's on one of these national teams that you get is going to be a good player for you.
Yeah, and I agree with that because right now we're in a little shuffle here in Buffalo in terms of what we think is going to happen with the upcoming free agents, what's going to happen with Jack Eichel. These are questions every single day that Sabres fans have. The one thing that really kind of worries me about this situation, with it being a shortened season and the COVID regulations last year and this year that up until this point, I mean, I don't know where some of you guys watch from, but in New York, we're lifted, so we don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated. So that there's a lot of things kind of coming back to a little bit of normalcy here, but that wasn't the case for our scouts for this draft class per se.
Right.
And with that being said, the Sabres have the same amount of scouts that they had last year when Kevin Adams took the seat as GM in Buffalo, and that's only 7 scouts. 9 scouts, because they went from 21 to 9 as soon as he walked in the door. They just had a complete.
They cleaned house.
They pretty much just cleaned house.
Yeah.
With media relations, and I mean, we've talked about it a lot. The kind of situation Kevin Adams was in. So that makes me feel kind of fortunate that we are the number 1 pick and that there is a consensus number 1 player on the board, because I really feel like the Sabres are behind the 8 ball in terms of scouting department right now. And you're getting a surefire player that everybody is pretty familiar with and think that he's going to end up working out in the NHL for a franchise.
Right. And the thing that upsets me is it's somewhat negligent. You had all year to fill these spots for your scouts, and you just chose not to do it. And now you got lucky. You got the first overall pick. The top 3 picks are pretty much set up as of right now.
Yep.
Unless somebody is going to make a push to try to get in there. It probably isn't going to happen.
Right.
But
right.
The fact that you only had 9 scouts the whole season
it
is really, really upsetting. It's something that should have been addressed. I understand that there were problems all year with a plethora of things. Obviously, we saw it on the ice. We saw it in the GM room, talking to Kevin Adams during press conferences and such, and things just don't look good.
Right.
Anywhere in this organization right now.
The only way to go is up for sure in this organization.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it is. But at the same time, what are you going to do later in the draft?
Right. That's what I'm worried about. I'm more worried about like the later picks. I don't know if we're going to use those as trade bait or whatnot. I'm sure Kevin Adams has a plan. The good thing is he has the assistant GM and Jason Karamanos at least to help him out a little bit. But both these guys got to be looking at this situation like our hands are kind of tied behind our back a little bit with what we can do here.
Well, this is the kind of thing that makes me not like. There's tons of rumors going around about Jack Eichel being traded. It makes me not want to trade Jack Eichel for any picks. Right. I understand that we need the picks with Jack Eichel and players along with it, because he demands a high price tag for Jack Eichel.
Yeah,
which is one of the smartest things he's doing right now. Is that he's demanding up and above what anybody else would probably demand in his position. But the fact that we don't really have the scouting department to back up these picks, they're probably going to get wasted.
Yeah, well, that's my biggest worry. But the one thing that I am taking as a positive in this is they already did go through a draft, okay?
Sort of.
We got Jack Quinn, JJ Peterka, and some more notable names later in the draft that a lot of people actually gave us some praise for our draft class. We actually had a pretty good draft class with the 7 scouts. I mean, they definitely did their job, but the workload is too much, I think, for 7 guys.
But you could also say that a bunch of the scouts that were fired had already made up draft.
They could have.
Like, you know what I mean? You could say that you fired guys that had come up with draft analysis for some of the guys that you drafted. The guys that you kept around were like, hey, we got all this information on this JJ Peterka guy. Let's get him right here.
Yep.
I think that with the limited scouting department, you're looking at less accurate reports. You're looking at
grades, stuff
you're
like
looking
that.
at less accurate grades. You're also looking at a limited number of people that you can actually physically look at.
Right.
Especially with the travel bans with COVID and everything, you're relying strictly on video. There's a lot of hours in the day, and you can't fill all those hours with 9 guys.
Right.
When you had 22 originally, you're under half. See, this is the thing that makes me a little nervous about this year's draft.
Right.
It's great we got the number 1 pick, but after the number 1 pick, I mean,
what do we do?
Yeah. That's I guess that's the thing with me wrapping that around to Eichel is I don't want to see them trade Eichel at this current time for any picks in this year's draft.
Right.
If there's picks in next year's draft, awesome. I think whatever pick you get in this year's draft after the number 1 overall pick is wasted.
Right. I mean, I don't really know how Terry and Kim Pegula expect consistency in that type of environment. So
I agree. James, the only reason why they have 9 scouts is because they cleaned house when Kevin Adams was hired. They fired like the whole scouting department. They fired the GM. They fired a whole bunch of people in media relations. It was a bad scene at the beginning of the season.
It was.
And then they just never replaced anybody.
Yep. It was terrible.
So
the big rumor is
that's why I'm saying it's negligent. You had all year to replace these people, and you did nothing.
The big rumor is that while all this was happening with COVID, the Pagulas lost out on a lot of money.
Right.
And they weren't willing to pay a lot of people what they were supposed to be paid. There was rumors that we were behind on even Buffalo Bills stadium payments, and that's why our stadium went under. and we had to get a new name for it. I mean,
why New Era wasn't our partner anymore.
There was a lot of like rumors going around, just strictly money related with the Pagulas, that caused this whole entire domino effect within the Sabres organization. They were lucky in the Buffalo Bills organization because they already had Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. They had a plan. They already had the salary cap figured out. I mean, how the Sabres have been handled ownership-wise the past year has been god-awful. And
it's been longer.
I'm not taking anything away from the personalities of Kim and Terry Pegula. I'm sure they're great people. But at the end of the day, you have a business to run, and you have people paying you millions of dollars to put a product on the ice and the football field that is winning because we're paying you. Like, we are literally paying you to put that product out there. We will keep coming. We will keep making you rich and everything else. And this is what Graham's getting at, where it's like it's really nerve-wracking a little bit because it's like, man, you had all year. You know, you couldn't even fill a couple roles. You couldn't get 15 scouts.
Well, this falls on Kevin Adams, too. It's not just the Pagulas. It falls on Kevin Adams for not filling out his scouting department.
Yeah.
He spent more than half the year trying to find an assistant GM.
Right. And I mean,
so
we also don't know the money stipulations with that, too.
Yeah, but I don't think that, like, there's a league minimum and then there's a league average of what guys are getting paid. There's people that make more. There's people that make less. If you pay a couple guys the league average,
yeah, I
mean, at least you're in better shape with a couple more people, right. maybe 5 at the most.
Mm-hmm.
But, geez, nobody.
Right.
It just shows me that you guys don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The Pagulas, Kevin Adams, you guys don't care.
Graham's salty.
Yeah, I am salty
anyway,
because the season was garbage, and you have done the bare minimum to move this team forward in the next season. It just tells me that next season is going to be the same dog shit. It's gonna be a complete rebuild, which is why I think they're gonna end up trading Eichel. Yep. They're gonna lose Reinhart. They're gonna lose Linus Ullmark, and it's gonna be a cluster again next year. And it's something that I don't want to watch. It's. I will say this as a Sabres fan, I've seen a lot of Leaf fans that are really upset that their team has been bounced out of the playoffs the first round for the last 3 or 4 years in a row now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're done with they're done with hockey. They don't want to watch hockey anymore because it's heartbreaking, but at least they're in the playoffs. I would love for the Sabres to just make it into the playoffs. It's been 10 years.
No, it's been a long time.
And I'm ready to break up with the Sabres.
And that's how it was for the longest time for any Bills fans in the area. I mean, we went through a lot of years of struggle and ownership and GMs, and it was rough. But, you know, the Sabres, maybe Kevin Adams was waiting for the assistant GM because he is immature with the position that he's in. He is a hockey mind. He's played hockey. He's been around it his whole life. But this is a big step up from what he's used to in terms of, you know, handling a team. So maybe having Jason Karamanos in there is going to help ease some other things out, and maybe they can start to work on this. But I agree. I'm a little shocked that they didn't hire any more scouts during the year. And that could have also been because of travel restrictions anyway. Maybe they couldn't go to other countries anyway. And they were just like, you know what? If we're just doing our homework from home.
But there's tape.
Right. I know. I get that.
The more eyes you get on tape, you can make all the excuses you want. The fact is that they just didn't do it.
Right.
And they should have.
They should have. I agree. They definitely should. I'm definitely a little nerve-wracking going into the later rounds of the draft for the NHL-wise, that is. But you mentioned Linus Ullmark possibly leaving. That was a question I wanted to just bounce off you, too, real quick. Before being injured, he was playing pretty damn good. I'd give it to him. He was probably the best goalkeeper, obviously the best goalkeeper the Sabres had this year.
He was.
But he had a lot of injuries, and a lot of people were talking before the injuries that he was looking at Demko-type numbers, the goaltender in Vancouver, who got $5.5 million. Now, I'm looking at these upcoming free agents for the NHL, and it's a fruitful list, in my opinion. I'm assuming a lot of these guys will be re-signed, but not assuming they will be re-signed. Like Tuukka Rask, Pekka Rinne, Antti Raanta. I'm a huge Antti Raanta fan. I like Philip Grubauer, Peter Mrazek. I mean, these are all guys who, backup-wise or not, they're better than any goaltender we have on our team, other than Linus. I think Linus can compete with these guys when he's healthy. So my question to you is, should we try to bring back a Linus Ullmark for like $3.5-4 million? Because of the injuries, I feel like that really stipended him in terms of what he's going to get paid. Maybe he's only going to get a 1-year contract instead of a multi-year contract this year, kind of a prove-it deal. Or do you go out and you get a solidified starter in like a Tuukka Rask, Pekka Rinne, and you pay them the $8.5 to $10.5 million to shut down top lines. Like that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is I personally think they should bring in Allmark back, and I think that they should go after a upgraded Carter Hutton in the back end of the goalie position. But I'm also kind of intrigued by Pekka Rinne and Tuukka Rask if you can somehow swing that out.
So here's my stance on it. Is that most of those guys on the list, you're going to end up having to pay more than Linus Allmark just to get them here.
Oh, no doubt. That's what I'm saying.
And if you're saying that they're not better than Allmark, but they're better than the backups that we've had, you're still paying them more than Allmark, but then they're going to be backups.
I think Tuukka and Pekka
are the exception, and maybe Philip Grubauer,
and maybe Frederick Anderson. I don't know.
I don't think Anderson.
Tuukka Rask and Pekka Rinne, in my opinion, are worth they're worth $10 million.
But you're saying 3.5 for Linus Allmark. I don't think we're getting Linus Allmark for 3.5. I don't even think we're getting him for 5. I think he's in the 6 to 7 range. The guy has really. You see the difference on the ice when he's not there.
Yep.
He is. He has made that very apparent with the level of his play when he is healthy.
Yep.
When he's not healthy, this team is totally different, complete dumpster fire. They're out of almost every game that they're in. And we saw that throughout most of the season. He is going to demand a lot of money, or he's going to walk, which is why I'm saying you're probably going to lose him in free agency.
All right.
Which means then that you're probably looking at guys like Rask, Rinne. Rinne's probably not going to re-sign because they have Soros in Nashville. Rask is most likely going to end up retiring a Bruin, dude. Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, I can see that.
Boston doesn't seem to treat goaltenders like Pittsburgh has. Not Pittsburgh. Yeah, it's Pittsburgh. The Penguins.
Yeah.
The Penguins have treated goaltenders horribly throughout their whatever with Fleury and now
Smith.
Now Murray.
Murray.
But I like the idea of Antti Ranta kinda. Okay. Not so much as a starter, but as a fringe starter. All these guys on this list are fringe starters except for Rinne, Grubauer, and Rask. Everybody else, I would say, is not starter quality anymore. Even Henrik Lundqvist. I love Hank. Dude is one of my all-time favorite NHL players. The guy is an outstanding human being. He donates all kinds of money to charity. He wears masks for charity games and does a lot of cool stuff. I'd love to see him here. He's on this list. The sad thing is he's probably going to end up retiring.
Yeah.
Because he missed this whole season with like a heart problem or a heart palpitation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the doctors told him he could never play again. And he was like, well, I'm going to try.
It stinks that's how some of the greatest players you watch in your generation go down. You know what I mean? You wish you could just watch them skate off the ice, do their last little skate around, kind of like Ryan Miller. I mean, that was a great moment watching Ryan Miller. I wish he could play forever because he made some great memories in Buffalo for us. Had some great teams here with him. But yeah, that was just something I was kind of touching on because obviously netminder was a huge problem for us this past year with injuries and COVID and everything else. I mean, we had like 6 different goalkeepers this year.
Yeah, I think we set an NHL record for different number of starting goaltenders. So
I'm just kind of curious if they're going to be bringing in like an above average amount of goalies in the offseason just to try to work it out to see who's the best. With a lot of fringe starters, like you're saying, and if you can get Linus Allmark and a couple fringe starters behind him, I think you're in a better shape next year.
I don't think you can get 2. I think you get. Here's the deal: you either get Linus Allmark back and you call up UPL and then you draft a goaltender in this year's draft.
Yep.
Or you get a fringe starter, bring up UPL, and get a goaltender in this year's draft. So you're thinking
UPL is now
I think that not the front runner, but I think that he's the only one that's going to be able to be. He's going to be the backup next year.
Okay.
It's not looking good as far as goaltender goes right now. Unless I don't know. I think those are the only 2 scenarios that we have at this moment.
Yeah.
Is either Allmark comes back or he's gone and you got to replace him with somebody else. Either way, I think UPL is coming up.
I liked what I saw from UPL, so I wouldn't have a problem with him
He's just
possibly
young.
becoming that type of player for us.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to dive into with the coaches carousel real quick with the Sabres, we've had a couple interviews, nothing spontaneous yet. Trochet, we've talked about him a little bit. Boudreau's been in the building, and there's a Ricard Gornberg. If I am ruining his name, I'm sorry, but
I think it's Gromberg.
Another Swedish coach, and this kind of brings up a hypothetical situation for me. I guess the interview went pretty well with this Gromberg guy. He is from Sweden, and he has ties to Rasmus Dahlin. And this is where my hypothetical situation kind of comes in is if the Sabres do choose, which there are reports out there, nothing is confirmed by the organization. This is all just beat writers of Buffalo sports coming out talking about how the relationship between Jack Eichel and the Buffalo Sabres is completely ruined at this point. Jack wants a different kind of surgery. The Sabres are not willing to sign off on it and trust it. Therefore, there's a lot of heat and hatred going on between the two entities right now.
They're really far off right now.
And there's a report out there that came out either today or yesterday where the Sabres are willing to let another team handle this type of problem. I don't think trading him to another team is going to help Jack Eichel. I think it will help the Sabres though, and
I think it will help Jack Eichel immensely to be out of Buffalo.
I don't think other teams are going to go for it either. That's what I'm getting. I don't think other teams are going to trust the surgery. Kevin Adams in that.
I'm not even talking about the surgery strictly. I'm talking about the fact that it's just going to help his career to get out of Buffalo.
It'll probably help his career, but I'm talking injury only. Kevin Adams during his press conference talked about how it is a pretty common feeling across the league that this surgery is not a good idea. It's just something that a lot of teams wouldn't go for. And a lot of teams won't sign off on it. So if there is a team out there willing to take on this burden of Jack Eichel, because it is a burden at this point. I mean, it's causing problems, ripple effects in the organization. I love Jack Eichel. Every Sabres fan loves the talent of Jack Eichel and understands that he's a world-class talent. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a happy player who is a world-class talent in your organization, you're not going to get the world-class talent on the ice. It's just never going to happen. So if Jack Eichel's traded, if Sam Reinhart is let go, if all of our restricted free agents that we like are let go, is Rasmus Dahlin the next in line to take the captaincy?
Well, Rasmus Dahlin is a restricted free agent.
Okay. So I hope to God we bring him back. But apparently this Gromberg coach has a history. I think, Greg, you spoke about it. He does have a history with Rasmus Dahlin, correct?
Yeah, he coached the Sweden team when Dahlin was on there.
Okay. So
here's the deal, though.
Yeah.
There were rumors about this guy possibly getting interviewed right before Ralph Kruger got the job.
Okay.
Because of the Rasmus Dahlin connection, saying, "Oh man, we got all these other Swedish guys on the team. It'd be great to have a Swedish coach." I don't hate the idea, but I'm really still in the Don Granato camp. Like I really want to see Don Granato finish what he started and just see what he can do with a full year and a healthy roster and guys that seem like they want to be there. The younger guys on this team, they seem like they want to prove that hey, that we're worth it.
Yeah,
like keep us around. We're worth it.
Mm-hmm.
The older guys, I mean, they hate that. They've just been so accustomed to losing now that they just hate it. And sometimes it's just time to move on.
It is.
And we talked about that with Ristolainen a couple of years ago, that this guy has known nothing but losing. Eichel has known nothing but losing in Buffalo.
It's tough.
And it's really tough.
It's tough on the mental psyche of a player.
It absolutely is. It's something that you look at and you're like, well, they're trying, but I don't really think I want to try anymore. So it's time to work. I've been working my ass off for so many years
to get to this
now.
point.
Yeah. And we haven't made any progress. Exactly. If anything, they've gone backwards in the last few years.
Exactly.
And it's horrible. And I feel bad for Eichel, but at the same time, like they're paying you to do a job, do the job.
Yeah.
So it's a tough spot to be in.
Absolutely. Kevin Adams definitely has his work cut out for him this offseason. There's a lot of reports coming out. And
are you still in the Don Granato camp?
You brought it up earlier. Like, if they're going to go with a rookie coach, would you be okay with that? And honestly, I thought Don Granato proved enough. I wouldn't go with a whole new coach if Don Granato came out and literally just put a good product on the ice. Like, we weren't winning every game, but we were in every game.
It was competitive,
and it was good to watch like you said, the young guys who got called up, man, they played phenomenal for Don Granato. And if that's the route you're going to go, and you trade Jack Eichel and you trade Sam Reinhart and you just bring in a bunch of youth, I think Don Granato's the guy.
I do too.
I don't even think it's a discussion. But Kevin Adams.
Well, it has to be a discussion because you're Kevin Adams. You're now in year 2 of your first ever GM position.
Yeah.
You need to make the right decision because you're being a GM is probably not going to last very long with you if you make the wrong decision.
Right.
If you choose Don Granato over Gromberg, I don't know. Either way, this dude is he's got a tough hill to climb.
And he straight up told Don Granato in the exit interviews or whatever they do when they pack up and call it a season. He did tell Don Granato he'll be one of the first people to know what's going on at all times because
as of right now he's still the head coach.
He just told Don, he's like, listen, man, I got pushed into this position last year. I want to just talk to a lot of people. I want to figure out who the best option is for this team. I'm not saying you're not the option, but I need to make sure you are the option or you're not the option.
Right.
Before I tell you I'm giving you the head coach, which is totally understandable. In fact, that's one of the smartest things Kevin Adams has probably done to this point.
It's acceptable.
And I think that he's earned that right to do that with how his season has gone and how everything kind of tanked on him. He wants, like you said, Grant, I think you're absolutely right. He just needs to get this right. The head coach needs to be right. If you get all the players in the world together that are the greatest ones, but you have a crap head coach, you're not going to get a great team.
We saw what happened when you brought in Taylor Hall to play with Eichel, and you had a horrible head coach.
Yep.
And now look, we're watching Taylor Hall from our couches get his ass beat in the playoffs in a fight, but he's still playing well on a different team, and that was what was supposed to happen when he came here. He was supposed to play well. He was supposed to match up really well with Eichel, and you had a coach that just kind of let everything fall through his fingers.
Right.
And then you brought in a temporary guy, Don Granato, who was trying to pick up the pieces, and I would say did a very good job at picking up the pieces and trying to put a competitive product out there on the ice.
I agree.
So I would like to move on past this just because I know that we're going to talk in circles on this.
No, it's fine.
It's the same thing every time.
The one thing with Kevin, though, is he really doesn't have unlimited time with this. There are 6 other NHL teams with coaching vacancies, so
he's got to move.
As long as he wants to talk to these people, he's got to keep that in the back of his head. Hey, we are on time-sensitive situations right now, so let's make sure we get this right, but in a respectable time frame.
You got the expansion draft coming up in a couple months.
There's a lot going on, man.
And
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's a tough year to be a GM.
The NHL offseason is going to move quickly this year with this expansion draft, and then with the draft and with free agency. There's a lot of very, very good free agents coming out this year.
Absolutely.
So we'll get into that more next week.
Absolutely. And with that happening, I mean, we'll keep you up to date week to week on what's going on, what the rumors are in the Sabres organization, and we will be the first ones to tell you how we feel about it. So I'm not afraid to speak my opinion. I know you're not afraid to speak your opinion about the Sabres. I mean, I think he hates the Sabres at this point.
I wouldn't say I hate but I wouldn't say I hate the Sabres, but James, I'm gonna just respond to you. I wouldn't say that we were in every game. I would just say that we were more competitive.
I would say we were in just about every game. We battled back.
Well, we got blown out a few times still.
I mean, that's hockey.
It's more of, to me, it's just more of being competitive. You look like you're not giving up on plays. You look like you're not just going through the motions. Yeah, you had rough patches. Yeah, you had a really long rough patch, but you still had guys that were going out there and showing up every night, like Tage Thompson, Casey Middlestat, Dylan Cousins when he was healthy. It just a young group of guys that just kept pushing no matter what. And it seemed like Don Granato was the driving force behind that, which I agree with you. Bring him back. But I wouldn't say that they were in every game. I would just say that they were competitive.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We're Don Granato fans on here. Hey, but we could be wrong. They could go with a different coach, and that coach could just be way better than Don Granato.
I mean, Bruce Boudreau has the pedigree.
We'll have to find out. We'll definitely keep you updated on that. I would like to move on to a little bit bigger, better things. I'm more of a Bills fan. I like all that stuff. I like hockey here in Buffalo, but we suck right now, so bigger, better things. And I'm going to get Greg involved here because Greg is our computer guru. He can pull stuff up really fast. Stefan Diggs restructures the contract, helps out the team.
Big moves.
I mean, we are seeing a constant kind of feeling, or not constant feeling, a constant mentality here in the Buffalo Bills organization. Unlike the Sabres, I mean, guys have been taking cuts all offseason to afford other players. They know this is a championship caliber team. Stefan Diggs restructures that contract. And Greg, what are those numbers? How did this work out for the Bills, and how much cap room do they have now that Stefan Diggs is restructure.
So it was probably a little over a week ago now. We probably could have talked it on the show last week if we put one out. But so it's been a little while. But just to go over it, Stephon Diggs converted $11.7 million of his salary to a signing bonus.
I thought it happened Monday.
It might have. I don't know. There's no concept of time in my life at this point. But yeah, so he converted 11.7 mil to a signing bonus that created 8 mil in space, giving the Bills 11 mil total. And I went ahead and looked it up because I think it's possibly the next move. Currently, Zach Ertz has a 12 million cap hit. So one mil's nothing in the NFL world. You could work that out.
You could work that out easy. I mean, like we've seen just with this contract with Mario Addison, and the list goes on of guys who have converted a bunch of money into signing bonuses.
Tre'Davious
White. Yep. Deion Dawkins, I think, did it too.
I think so.
It's a good movement seeing that players are willing to do that. I mean, obviously, why wouldn't you? You get the money right then and there. It's over with, and that you're good to go.
Right, and it helps the team out for a year.
Yep. And I just like that it happened. It gives us some room now. We were very cap stricken coming into the NFL draft. We now have more than enough money to sign our rookies, which we have already done. Greg Rousseau finally is the last Buffalo Bill to sign that, and we have all of our rookies now signed. $11 million for Rousseau, which I don't think is that much. I know the first round is it's the price tag's very high, and then you get in the second round, it kind of really dips off there.
Well, I think that the thing that helped us was the fact that we weren't in the top 10, which is where we've been in for the last 20 years almost.
Absolutely.
Somehow, whether we're in there in trades or not, we're in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first year I can remember in my life that we drafted what?
Tre'Davious White was 27.
22. We traded back though.
That's right. Yep.
But this was the first time in my life that we drafted later in the first round.
Yeah.
Other than Tre'Davious White, but that, like I said, we traded back. So that doesn't really count for me.
Yep.
I am really excited to see what we do with the cap that we just cleared up for Stephon Diggs. I think that this move was huge. Great move by Brandon Beane and the rest of his front office there. Stephon Diggs being willing to do that is huge for us also, because I think he understands, and just based on his comments, he wants to win like 5 Super Bowls. He wants to be known as the best receiver to ever play the game. He has high aspirations that I'm hoping he can fulfill all of them here in Buffalo. I want him to be the best Bills receiver of all time, over Andre Reed, over Eric Moulds. I want the next best thing all the time from this organization. And
he's already broken a bunch of franchise records.
Yeah, he has, but he hasn't reached.
I know.
He hasn't reached Mount Olympus or the heights that he can reach or that he feels he can attain.
Diggs on his name on the
on the Bills Wall of Fame. Yep. And have his number retired, everything. I want to see it, but I think that he's realizing that this is a big year.
Yeah.
To moving forward into that, because we brought in Emmanuel Sanders. You have Josh Allen coming off an incredible season. You bring in a bunch of guys on the offensive line to help shore that up. Mm-hmm. You have moves that you've made, and then I think he sees it as, okay, we're missing a piece here.
Yeah.
I don't know what the piece is, but we're missing it. But, hey, I can convert all my salary into signing bonus,
and we can help
clear up all the cap space for you guys. And, hey, bring somebody in.
Yeah.
Help us out. Like, let's find that missing piece, and let's make this our year. I think that this is a huge move, especially right before training camp starts, and a lot of teams are in a lot of trouble with cap. The Eagles are in big trouble with the cap. They're saying Ertz might possibly just get cut, and not get traded. Which I think that's what Brandon Beane's really banking on at this point.
Well, if he does bank on that, and Greg did bring up the Ertz idea, and every Bills fan, I go on Bills Mafia every day, at least 3 times a day, and every single day I see somebody saying they want Zach Ertz. Maybe that is the answer. I don't think that would be a problem to bring him in
for the right price.
Personally, I think that they should go corner here.
I agree.
If they're gonna break the bank, I would love to see Richard Sherman join the Buffalo Bills for the sole purpose. I would want a 1-year deal with Richard Sherman for the sole purpose that the Tennessee Titans have traded for Julio Jones, and to have A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and Derrick Henry I want the 2 best corners I can get on that field.
I agree.
At all times, because I'll tell you what right now, the Titans have been on our ass every single year we've been good. And they've beat us into the playoffs. We've taken them out of the playoffs. I mean, it's a constant battle with the Titans. So
over the last 5 years, yeah.
And with that play action game that was already in Tennessee, I mean, we've spoken about that play action game in Tennessee for a while.
Yeah,
now.
Derrick Henry sets it all up, and now they have Julio Jones.
Now you get Julio Jones. I think you got to go out. You got to get the best corner on the market in Richard Sherman. He's already a zone type corner, so he's going to fit Sean McDermott's scheme. He's a big body, and that's what's important right now. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are not small dudes. They are massive human beings, and they fly. So why not go out there, get the experience on the defensive side of the ball in the corner, and get Richard Sherman, lock up that. Let's make the Legion of Boom again. I don't even care if there's another name for it. But if you got Richard Sherman, Poyer, Hyde, and Tre'Davious White, I honestly feel like
Taron Johnson.
I feel like you could honestly shut down just about any team passing wise in the league.
Or
like you said,
or even make a trade for a corner, a top tier corner, Marshawn Lattimore or something like that.
It all depends. I don't know how it's going to work out, where they choose to invest this money. I totally trust Brandon Beane. There's a bunch of news coming out of OTAs, though. I talk about adding Sherman, but there's a lot of stuff that we'll get into here with the OTAs.
I want to give my take real quick, and James also brought up a good question. He says, do you guys think that they're going to give Josh Allen a big contract now? I don't think we're doing that right now. I think that they did the 5th-year option. They're going to wait until that's like into his 5th year, obviously. Mm-hmm. Then they'll re-sign him to a big deal. They're waiting for the cap to go back up to where it was or even beyond.
Yeah.
They had to lower the cap, in case you don't remember, from all the COVID stuff. They were expecting huge losses, and they lowered the cap to make up for that. But I fully agree with you. I think going corner, especially with just the talent of wide receivers in
this division, seriously,
in the conference. In the conference, yeah. I would say because obviously the Chiefs are stacked at wide receiver. Yep. They have been. The Ravens got better. They got Sammy Watkins, mm-hmm. and they already had Hollywood Brown.
Yep.
The Titans got better.
Even the Raiders.
The Raiders are not a bad wide receiver core at all. I mean, the Chargers are still good at wide receiver. There's a lot of teams in the AFC that have really good wide receivers, and you got to start looking at this and being like, okay, we're one of those teams. We can match up with anybody offense to offense. Mm-hmm. Defense to offense is kind of where we need to start picking it up, I think, at this point right now with this cap, going after a corner or a top-tier defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Or a linebacker. I think that we're solid at safety. Safety is a non-issue. You got one corner. Yeah, pretty much corner. I'm with you.
I'm with Richard Sherman on that. I'm expecting big things from Dawson Knox this year. I understand that he has a lot of drop passes, but if you can save that $11 million from Zach Ertz, I mean, Zach Ertz hasn't been the same Zach Ertz. You know, let's just remember that. I mean, he is a Pro Bowler. I'll give him that, but he hasn't been.
He's also had.
He hasn't been the Zach Ertz that we are used to seeing. And I understand maybe.
He's had poor quarterbacks.
Yeah. Too. Maybe you go to a different organization that works out good for you. Guarantee if you give him to Aaron Rodgers, you make him look like a legendary tight end. I mean, it could happen. So
Jimmy Graham didn't look too great with Aaron Rodgers.
I really like the idea of bringing in Richard Sherman at this point. The fact that he's still out there blows my mind. I don't know if it's a money thing for him or whatnot, or if he's just waiting for the right championship team to be ready for him. I think the Bills would be very intriguing for him to come join us. And
even Josh Norman coming back.
Like I
wouldn't mind that either.
I'm telling you, dude, the Titans are scary now.
Yeah,
the Titans are real scary. Adding Julio Jones is no joke. And for what they got him for, a 2nd and a 4th round pick, unbelievable.
It's because the Falcons just had to dump him. They couldn't take the cap, and he didn't want to be there.
And the Titans got a 6th in return. They traded a 2nd and a 4th for Julio Jones and a 6th. The Titans completely stole this trade.
Yes, they did.
And the fact that he even ended up on the Titans blows my mind if that was the asking price. I'm surprised the Patriots didn't show up on there. I'm surprised that the Chiefs honestly did not show up on there.
The Chiefs probably didn't have the cap, but the Patriots probably didn't have the cap either.
Right.
But you look at trades like that, and you're like, man, that's totally affordable for every team in the NFL. Like, I would be able to find a way to clear up.
Yeah.
Like, I would probably, I hate to say it, I'd probably cut Cole Beasley for Julio Jones.
Okay.
And clear up the cap that way.
Wild
But that's your next guy other than Jerry Hughes.
Yeah, true.
So,
True.
well, and Mario
Mario
Addison. Those are your top 3 guys that are it.
With cap space wise.
Yes, that'll clear up the most cap.
Well, the good news is too there was already talks coming out that the cap space is going to be up about $20 million next year already. So that really helps the Bills with Josh Allen and Tremaine Edmonds coming up. There's also going to be some other key offensive linemen, defensive players that are going to have their contracts coming to an end. I think Jordan Poyer, his contract's actually up after this year because he signed a 2-year contract.
I thought he extended.
He signed a 2-year contract at the beginning of last year.
I thought he extended.
I don't know. I
thought he had 2 years left and then extended another 2 years or another year at a different price point.
But hey, you know what? I'm absolutely pumped that Brandon Magic, whatever you call him here in Buffalo, with Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, man, they have been killing it. Everybody was worried about the cap space. We are going to be just fine now. Brandon Beane has completely worked this out where signing Josh Allen and Tremaine Edmonds at the end of the year probably will not be a big feat to conquer.
Hopefully.
So I really don't think so. But that being said, it kind of takes me into this next topic real quick, man. Before we get into OTA news, there's a bunch of OTA news. Sean McDermott was ranked 6th for best head coaches. And if you're watching this, I really want to know what your guys' opinion are of this. But, Greg, I think you had the list for us. It was I think it was Bill Belichick,
Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and
it was Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, Sean Payton, John Harbaugh, and Sean McVay above McDermott.
Above Sean McDermott. Okay.
Yeah. See, I'm taking him over Harbaugh. I'm taking him over McVay, and
I could argue that he's a better coach than Sean Payton right now.
Right.
It's hard to say because you could say that Sean Payton and Drew Brees were tied at the hip, and you could also say that McDermott and Josh Allen are tied at the hip. Their success is relying upon each other, and the rest of the roster is it is what it is.
Yeah. I don't really understand if I'm just too much of a diehard Bills fan. That could be the case here, but stuff like this kind of irks me because it's this guy's first year cap casualty team. We were literally we had $60 million in dead cap because we traded Marcel Darius. We got rid of a bunch of guys. Takes that team to the playoffs.
Sammy Watkins was in that.
Yeah, takes that team to the playoffs. Goes 8-8. The next year we missed the playoffs.
Tyrod Taylor.
With Tyrod Taylor. And the year after that, Josh Allen gets into the playoffs. We lose to the Texans. Last year he goes 13-3. And
I misspoke.
We go to the AFC Championship game. John Harbaugh, yes, he has a Super Bowl, but in my opinion, Sean McDermott's been more consistent in the past 4 or 5 years than John Harbaugh. Yes. Same with Sean Payton. Same with Sean McVay. To me, it's a no-brainer. Sean McDermott's a top 3 coach. It's a no-brainer for me.
Can I hop in as the non-Bills fan?
Yeah.
And you could be the advocate for non-Bills fans.
When I was telling you guys earlier, I would definitely put him above McVay. I think McVay's honestly a flash in the pan. If he doesn't turn it around with Stafford, I think he's on the hot seat. But the thing of it is
that
all of those guys above him, other than McVay, have won Super Bowls. They've all been in the playoffs consistently. They've just been doing it longer. We just had the same conversation with Josh Allen. You got to take the entire. When I look at rankings like that, I don't base it off of, okay, what did you do last year? Because anything can happen year to year. But when you look at it on a consistent basis and see that these guys have been doing it for 3, 4, 5 times longer than McDermott has, that's the thing. It's not a knock against McDermott. It's just these guys have been doing it longer, and his time's going to come if he keeps coaching the way he's coaching. I think he definitely...
He is climbing the list.
Yeah, I think he definitely has the skills and the basis to be that top 3 coach, but it's got to take time. He's got to do this consistently, and I think that first really big hurdle for him is taking this team to a Super Bowl, because every single one of those coaches have won a Super Bowl above him other than McVay.
No, you know what? You make a great case there, Greg. Like I said, sometimes it could just be me in the fandom, but after watching the Bills suck for 10 years, and then for the last 4 or 5 years, he's just kind of turned around the whole entire mantra of this team.
Well, I mean,
that speaks limits. Well,
I agree with you 100% because you got guys all over the league calling him and saying, "Hey, how do I do what you did?"
Yeah.
Like you got Ron Rivera asking for his advice, who's a guy that he coached under.
Yeah.
For a while, you got Andy Reid calling him saying, "Hey, great job in Buffalo, man. You're doing good things." What like? There's things that other coaches are taking from Sean McDermott specifically and trying to utilize them in their own process of how they do things. And that's something that tells me that the rest of the league is seeing this guy as a real threat to being a top head coach in the league.
Also, y'all are acting spoiled. Oh, we're only top 6. Like, I don't even want to know where Joe Judge is on that freaking list, dude. Like, come on.
31.
All right, well, he's not the worst. I'll take it.
He's not the worst.
I would give Joe Judge a solid top half of the league.
Wow.
With what he did with the crap that he had,
I'd have to see the full
4
rankings.
and 12.
He had Saquon Barkley out for the whole year. That's your whole offense.
Oh, don't tell Greg that.
It's your whole offense,
I'm angry.
Greg.
I'm angry. Don't say that. He's not the whole offense. But no, seriously, think of 5 years ago. Could you guys really have even imagined where you guys are now?
But that's what I'm saying. That's why I think he literally the Buffalo Bills were literally the Sabres of the NHL.
NFL.
Of the NFL. Like laughing stock, never sold out stadiums.
You went from Rex Ryan to which was just a comedy.
Yeah.
To a search for a new head coach. And I actually remember being upset that we hired Sean McDermott over Anthony Lynn.
Yeah.
Because I liked Anthony Lynn. I thought Anthony Lynn had all the charisma, all the.
Tell you what, he got fired in L.A. too, though. So, Greg, were you gonna say something right there though before Graham?
I was just saying, like, enjoy where you guys are at. Don't be too negative.
Yeah, I do.
Like, come on, because let's be honest. Like, I am very fair to you guys. Like, there's a lot of times that I'll be on your side and be like, how the hell is Josh Allen ranked this low on this list? How is I'm usually on your guys' side, but I would absolutely take a top 10 head coach and 3 players in the top 100. Like, and honestly, I think and I'll even do it right now. I think you guys got snubbed on that because I think you could put Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer on that top 100 as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So you guys are in a good spot. Like, don't be too negative. Enjoy where you guys are at.
Like, and now that he brings it, he just made me even more salty. It makes me more salty that national media talks about our safety duo.
Yes.
Seriously, you will hear Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, and all these, whatever station they're on, they literally mention how good our safety duo is, but yet they get snubbed on everything.
Yes,
how the hell does that happen?
And they get ranked right next to each other in Pro Football Focus's rankings.
It's like, what? How does that mean? Oh, this is like the best safety tandem in the NFL, but then you go to the top 100 and none of them are on it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, how does that make any sense?
Do they think that they rely? Do they think that they're just relying on each other?
Everybody in the NFL, other than Bills fans and Bills players, are just buffoons.
Yeah.
So,
Greg, we've been salty for years, and this is something that you don't understand.
Am I on that list too? Am I a buffoon?
No, because you actually, you read Bills articles.
Okay. All right. Just make it sure.
I understand it. This is something that's literally just been going on for years. That the media hates Buffalo. It happened in the 90s where the media turned on the Bills because they were going to Super Bowls every year.
Yeah.
And then, and losing. But they were getting sick of Buffalo, just like how the media got sick of the Patriots.
Yeah. You want to know how petty we are when it comes to national media talking trash about the Buffalo Bills? Last year, Graham was pissed because Tre'Davious White got an 86 on Madden. Okay, we're gonna throw that out.
Yeah, do you remember that, Greg? I remember that.
We spent 35 minutes
talking about
how Madden people suck, which they do. Don't buy Madden anymore. Let's boycott Madden.
Yeah,
hashtag boycott Madden.
As you're the one saying, "Hey man, let's play some Madden."
And
I'm like, nah.
Well, that's because I'm good and you guys suck at Madden. But anyway,
I do suck.
Hashtag boycott Madden. We need a new game out for all of us Bills and football fans galore out there, man. We need a good product. I'm sick of EA. That's my rant of the day. Screw Doug Marrone. Still. Anyway, so
wrapping it all up into one.
Just wrap that present into one
nice
thing.
Nice typo.
There you go. So we talked about Sean McDermott being the sixth best coach. Greg, thank you for giving us a little outside perception there. I do got to say, this guy's a badass. I mean, comes in.
McDermott?
Yeah.
Yes.
Shitty organization. And one thing that kind of makes him a badass more, if you guys watched the Bills Embedded, if you haven't, YouTube, Bills Embedded, they take you through the whole entire draft process. You get to see all the picks, basically. And
they take you through training camp usually too. I don't think they did last year.
They didn't do it yet, but they've done the draft room, so you can actually hear how Shine and Bean and McDermott and Pagula, how they all correspond with the players. But man, this guy, I don't know how he does it. You got Kim Pagula bringing in delicious desserts every day. All right, and it's all over this embedded stuff. And there's Sean McDermott. Everybody's eating donuts and cookies and all this homemade, good, delicious stuff. And Sean McDermott's eating freaking yogurt with granola.
Just trying to keep it shape,
man,
bro.
do you see that? But the philosophy, not the philosophy, the word on the street is when you get signed to the Bills, Sean McDermott wrestles you. That's a thing.
Oh,
yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Anybody who wrestled in the past, if you have a wrestling background, he will wrestle you like that. So I just think he's a badass, man. I mean, he's in great shape, looks the part, plays the part, and that's what you need in a head coach. You got to have a guy. You're not going to listen to a guy, like you said, Rex Ryan, just demand workouts and workouts and workouts.
Right.
But when your coach comes in better shape than you, better get your ass moving.
Well, the thing is Sean McDermott practices what he preaches, which is he backs it up 100%, which is something that the people of Buffalo love about him.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is a fan favorite coach, kind of like Marv Levy. I would say he's our generation's Marv Levy as of right now. And I got to see the end of the Marv Levy era as a real little kid.
Mm-hmm.
I vaguely remember some stuff, but having this dude coming in and kind of being like, okay, I'm the face now. I'm the guy. This is the guy that I'm like 20 years from now when I'm old. Well, I wouldn't say old, but
yeah, you're old.
You're
old now.
I won't be that old in 20 years, but 20 years from now, when I'm thinking back at like my youth, I'm gonna be like, dude, Sean McDermott was an awesome freaking coach.
Yeah, he might still be there.
I hope he is.
He might still be there.
I really hope he is. I think the way that this guy takes care of himself, he probably will be.
All right, but talking new players coming in and everything else going on with Sean McDermott, second week of OTAs is a wrap.
Yeah.
And before we talk about what happened there, make sure you check us out. Like, follow, share, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Spotify. What am I missing? Instagram. YouTube. Hit us up. Let other people know. We want to grow the binge community. Once the season starts, we're going to try to get as many bingers involved as possible because we are going to tailgates.
Yes,
and we are putting you on camera.
We want to bring you to the tailgate with us.
Yep.
We want to give you guys merch. We want to have all kinds of craziness going on. We're gonna make things a lot of fun. We have big plans for this season, so make sure that you try to grow the community with your friends, with people that you think we may know.
Yep.
If not, I mean, the more the merrier. Everybody's welcome here. It's not a community that we're trying to build that excludes anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a Bills fan, a Sabres fan, or just a sports fan in general, or maybe you don't even like sports and you like to just hear us talk about stupid stuff. Yeah, we're all for that too. Because I mean, I ramble on about dumb shit all the time, kind of like right now.
Yep, just kind of like right now. But yeah, make sure you like, follow, share, spread the word. We're here. You're here. We like to get everybody involved. I mean, James, you've been great today so far, leaving comments. We're happy to have people a part of the conversation. We understand we are not always correct, right? And we're not afraid to admit when we're wrong. I mean, we've been wrong plenty of times. We've been right a lot. I think our shining moment was the Taylor Hall thing, but we'll just
there's been a few.
But, so week 2 OTAs, a lot of news coming out. Now this is just OTAs. Pads are not on. Players are not allowed to have like serious contact or anything. So take all of this with a grain of salt. But usually this is the time where you start to hear about who's kind of setting their feet in the trenches, who's kind of leaving a mark, an impression on players. And I got to say,
who's trying to rise above.
Yep. One of the biggest areas, we've already talked about it right now, is cornerback. That is going to continue to be probably a main emphasis on the show until the season begins, because it is literally probably the weakest position that we know of so far at this point with the Buffalo Bills. That being said, man, Dane Jackson apparently is just taken off.
I'm excited about
Already has an interception. He's been working out with the best animal in the game, Aaron Donald. I mean, the kid's bulked up. Multiple reports coming out, team members and coaches preaching about this guy, man. And I'm if this kid is what they're saying he is, then we don't need Richard Sherman, in my opinion.
I'm pumped because I guess the biggest report coming out is, at least from Leslie Frazier, is that he's more comfortable. Like he's not that shy rookie anymore. Is what is kind of what you told me. He said,
Yep.
That he's slapping people up, he's talking, he's joking around, he's having a good time, and his game has progressed since last season. So he's taken leaps forward in becoming a better person, which is something that this entire coaching staff and this entire front office has been preaching for years now, is being the best version of yourself when you come to Buffalo. That's really exciting news for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That and the fact that his game has just gotten that much better. He looks really good.
Yeah. First rep of 7-on-7 drills, he was up against Stephon Diggs, batted the ball down, beat Steph to his own route. He also had an interception already with against Josh Allen. So definitely making that early impression. And this was something that a lot of beat writers were talking about after the season was, is Dane Jackson going to push Levi Wallace out of the equation? And Brandon Beane has been high on this kid since last year. I'm really excited about this because he didn't get to go through OTAs last year. And this is a big part of the learning process when you first join your NFL team as a rookie. I mean, there's already so much going on. You know, for a rookie, your first year probably goes by like a blink of an eye, and you don't really get to process things very slowly or whatnot. You kind of feel rushed. But that was one thing that Frazier was praising.
Most things are on the fly.
Right. And that's what Frazier was praising, is that, you know, when they're in the room now, he's not just quiet. He's actually talking. He's helping coach other guys up, and he's a part of the equation, and he's making his impression. He's not waiting for it to happen. He's stepping into the role and taking advantage of it. And that's what this whole entire team has turned into. It's everybody understands the point of this. Everybody understands that a championship is at stake, and everybody understands you have to do your 111th. And they don't get mad when a guy surpasses you. Like, sure, you're not going to be happy about it, but you know if that guy beat you, it's because he beat you. There's nothing else to it. It's not coach favorites. It's nothing like that.
It's not contracts.
It's just he beat you flat out, and that's it. So Dane Jackson, we'll be paying attention to him a lot more. I think we're going to be hearing a lot about Dane Jackson in OTAs and the cornerback group as a whole.
Yes,
as OTAs roll along. Frazier also praising Mr. Boogie Bam Bam Basham. That's what I'm calling him, baby.
Bam Bam.
Because he looks like a freaking bowling ball on the field, man.
Daryl Johnson's nickname is Bam Bam or Bam.
Well, I'm calling Boogie Bam Bam Basham, baby. BBBBB. That's what it's going to be. Bam Bam Basham.
All right, buddy. You do what you want.
Yeah. But, yeah, good. He's making impressions. I guess Leslie Frazier is over the top surprised with how well he can transition from outside to inside. That was one of the big things that they talked about with these guys coming in with Rousseau and Basham, the versatility that they can have.
Yes.
And if you're making an impression already against what a lot of people believe to be a very good offensive line, I think you're going in the right direction.
I 100% agree, man. I'm really excited about this. And we've talked about this guy pretty in depth since he was drafted.
Yep.
Him and Greg Rousseau. Both of them have been doing really well in OTAs, and they're both really exciting to watch.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what they're going to start doing when the pads are on. That's really when your biggest test comes for for offensive and defensive linemen, because you could just be quicker without pads, and offensive linemen they just don't stand a chance really. But once those pads go on, it's a different story, because guys are more technique comes into play when there's pads on.
Absolutely.
But it is a great sign. I've heard a lot of things about Boogie Basham. I've heard a lot of things about Greg Rousseau. I've also heard the guy to watch out for this year is AJ Epinesa, man.
Oh, yeah. I've been hearing a lot about him, too.
I am super excited about this because just like Dane Jackson, he had last year without OTAs as a rookie, and having OTAs this year is a huge advantage for him. That and the dude put on like 30 or 40 pounds of muscle.
I think it was more like 15 to 20. What? Because they had him lose a lot. They had him lose a lot of weight when he got drafted, and he did end up putting on and packing on some more pounds to play at the weight he's comfortable with. But now it's actually it's the weight he needed. It's not they almost cut the kid's diet to get him down to lean, and now they bulked him back up.
Right.
So that's great to see. And yeah, I've heard multiple reports. Deion Dawkins has even come out, and he's like, listen, this guy's not a feather anymore. When he hits my pads and he hits my shoulder, I feel it. He's there. Big guy, explosive off the edge. Leslie Frazier's loving what he's seeing from them. And I'm sure this coaching staff is just beyond happy with the production they're getting from all of these young guys, because right behind cornerback, I would say, is D-line production this year for the Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
We get constant pressures. We've hit that nail on the head a million times between Addison and Hughes, constantly putting the pressure on but never taking the quarterback down.
Yep.
You've got Greg Rousseau in there now, who's flashing some elite level elusiveness, apparently. Just based on the OTA reports that I read, you guys can look this up too. You just look up 7 observations, and these are what the beat writers are writing who are allowed to be at the practices. So, if these 3 guys start getting on all cylinders firing, man,
you're looking at a tough room.
It's a tough room to make, because even there's reports out there that Ed Oliver is completely just dismantling the interior lineman right now. That he's just showing elite level quickness as well.
Right.
And if you got elite level quickness in 4 guys with Boogie Basham, Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa,
and they're all young,
Ed Oliver, and they're all young.
They're all on rookie contracts.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go. Because Mario Addison, I love you. I really do. But these guys are coming for your job, dude.
Same thing with Jerry Hughes.
See, I think they keep Jerry Hughes for the sole purpose that he's Jerry Hughes, and he's been.
I don't know, man.
I don't know either. I don't.
You said it at the beginning of this Bills take in the Bills section of our show.
It's a tough room to make.
It doesn't matter if you're the highest guy paid on the team. It doesn't matter if you're a veteran. If you're better, you're playing.
You're playing.
That's the flat out fact of it. I really think that Jerry Hughes, especially with his contract situation, being a guy that you could clear up a lot of cap space with if you cut or trade. Like there's things that if these young guys are going to keep showing out, and you're looking at them like, damn, man, we have to play these guys. Like, we have to.
Yeah.
They are better than Jerry Hughes is right now. They're better than Mario Addison is right now. If that's the situation, they're playing, and those guys are gone.
It's not that we don't like them.
No, it's just it's a sad reality.
That.
It's just the fact that you have better guys that are younger, that are cheaper, and that you can bring in more pieces.
It's Graham's favorite equation.
It is.
Production and money, baby.
Yes, production and money, which is I didn't get into it on the hockey thing because we talked about that a little bit, but the production and money is so huge. It's the way to be able to make championships happen. I'm not exactly saying that you got to money ball everything
Oh, you're definitely a money baller.
No, I'm not a money baller.
Greg, help me out here. This guy's definitely a money baller.
No.
Here. Yes.
Greg. I think that if you play well, you deserve to be paid. But when you're not playing well at the price that you are given, it's not worth it anymore, and you need to start looking for alternative options. Jeff Skinner is one of my biggest examples, and so is Kyle Okposo. It's not as bad in the NFL.
I need an outside perspective. Greg, please tell me Greg is a money baller, or Graham is a money baller. Please.
My opinion on that. No offense, Graham, but I think Moneyball's still a little higher than his pay grade. He tries, but
he tries.
Oh no, I'm not saying I'm a money baller. You think so?
Hey man, I don't know, man. I don't know.
He wants to be. Graham wants to be. I don't know if the IQ is up in the 250s or whatever is considered genius or not.
But
I'm not even saying the money ball. I'm just saying that you look at how much you're paying for a touchdown. You look at how much you're paying for a goal or an assist in hockey,
right.
and eventually you start wondering why you're paying guys like Kyle Okposo $6.5 million to give you 10 points a season.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that's not helping the defensive linemen who are and I'm going to say one-dimensional. Jerry Hughes can't kick it inside unless it's like a split wide nickel package and they're lining him up on the outside shoulder of the guard. Mario Addison doesn't kick it inside. That's what the next youth group brings in. There's rumors that Ed Oliver would be able to be a D-end in a 3-4 defense.
Yes.
There's multiple reports coming out of OTAs that Basham and Rousseau are doing both phenomenally right now. I guess Basham has some of the hardest hands that Leslie Frazier's ever seen.
Yeah.
And that says a lot because Leslie Frazier is a defensive line coach, and he coached in Minnesota with some of the best defensive linemen in that time. So, I mean, he was with Allen. The heck was
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen. He had a couple big time interior defensive linemen as well. Some Williams were over there. But I mean, to get that kind of praise from a coach just in 2 weeks, that's some serious news. And that's why Graham and I think that moving forward, the guys like Jerry Hughes, Harrison Phillips, Mario Addison, these guys are susceptible to get cut because they play one position for us. when these.
I mean, I would say Starlo Tule is in that boat too.
And now you got AJ Epinesa bulking up. He can play interior, exterior. I mean, he did that in college. So you've got 4 guys now who can jump all over the place, and the Bills already have like a 60%.
That and they love versatility.
They love versatility.
They love it. That's what their bread and butter is. Bring me the guy that can play 2 or 4 positions, and then.
I'm just waiting for Khalil Mack to become a free agent because I want that boy in Buffalo, baby. Bring him back to Buffalo. Dude, hey man, we went after JJ Watt. I'm pretty sure we would look into.
I guarantee we would look into it, but not for what they're paying for him.
Well, aside from all the good news coming out of OTAs, there is a little bit of a hiccup going on, I guess, with Devin Singletary. I'm sure everybody who cares about Devin Singletary has seen that he completely turned his body into Rambo in the offseason. The dude is jacked out of his mind. But the biggest issue was the catching game out of the backfield. A lot of fans wanted Travis Etienne in the draft this year. A lot of fans just want a new running back in general, thinking that we do not have a solidified number 1. My response to that is I don't think the Bills are looking for a solidified number 1. I think they like split backfields. It gives them better opportunity, better game plans against other teams.
It gives you more of a diverse
versatile offense.
Yes. I would say versatile is the perfect word to describe what the running back room looks like right now. You have your one cut back, you have your power back, and then you have a guy that has top tier speed.
Serious speed.
Yes.
Matt Breida coming in, and that's the big apparently. If you look on 7 observations yourself, you will see Devin Singletary apparently dropped the pass. He was wide open. Nobody next to him. And that brings back some harsh flashbacks. So that's going to be something that I think we're looking into here. My sole purpose of that being they did just sign Matt Breida. Matt Breida is NFL ready. He has proven his worth in the NFL as being one of the fastest backs. He can catch the ball. He can run between the tackles. He's not afraid. He's honestly a very good, versatile back.
He's been productive.
And for the price tag, we got him on a veteran minimum contract. Steal, honestly. The dude was literally clocked at the fastest time running in the NFL a couple years ago. So the speed doesn't just disappear. I mean, he is a little older, but the speed is still there. So I think Devin Singletary has I'm not going to say a target on his back, but with the media kind of pressing on him and the fans pressing on him, he's kind of got like a big X on his back, though. And
he's one of the biggest question marks on the offense right now. Yeah. Him and Dawson Knox.
And don't get me wrong, though. I like Devin Singletary.
I do, too.
I really do. I don't know. I'm not going to let one play define him this season, though. Right. I think Devin has done a lot of hard work in the offseason to bulk up because he was hearing those rumors. I mean, these guys aren't oblivious. They have agents. They have Facebook just like you and Instagram, and they hear all these guys talking about how he's not the number 1 back. Well, now he's got something to prove, and he's in the best situation to prove it now. They didn't get a running back. He is more than capable of beating out both of these guys, but he's got to do it right. He's got to do everything right.
It's his job to lose.
Exactly.
Right now.
I think Devin is a very sneaky running back in this league, and he's earned the respect of his teammates to at least get the opportunity to go out there and prove what he's got, and that's why the Bills didn't make any big changes at the running back position.
No, that and you had a guy like Antonio Williams in your building already who's could possibly be your 3rd or 4th running back.
Yeah.
You also have
Christian Wade.
Yeah, Christian Wade, the running back out of that played rugby out in the UK.
I'm actually I'm excited for preseason.
I am too, man. There's guys in this room that could potentially make a push, and as of right now, it is Devin Singletary's job to lose. Seeing him have more sure hands is definitely something that we need. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if you brought this up, but when he was coming out of college, they were talking about the fact that he didn't have very many catches in college, so nobody really knew what his hands were like. There were questions as to whether he was sure-handed. Mm-hmm. We thought after year 1 that he did a pretty good job. He didn't have any drops. Last year, definitely a couple hiccups. And then starting the year out like this and on like a big noticeable play, it's not a good look, but at the same time, it's just practice.
Yep.
It's not against an opponent. If it happens against an opponent, we might be talking about a totally different situation where they start looking at Zach Moss and Matt Breida and being like, yo, you guys are our top 2 guys now.
There was the drop pass against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
In the AFC Championship.
So that's what a lot of fans are hooking on to, like the consistency. And that's the same thing with Dawson Knox.
Yep.
he was even asked, hey, if the Buffalo Bills go out and get Zach Ertz, how do you feel about that? He says, hey, iron sharpens iron. And that just speaks volumes to what this coaching staff and front office have done for this organization. To know that there's more than likely a chance if you bring in the Zach Ertz, he's probably going to take your damn job, and you're just reacting like that. Like, yes, I know you're supposed to say it as a player. You're supposed to be whatever. But I really think that's
his mentality.
I think that's the mentality of this team is best player plays, period. We're all in it together. We're just going to try to make each other better, but whoever has less mess-ups on reps is going to play. That's just the bottom line.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to see how the tight end room does shape out this year because I love Tommy Sweeney. I know he's not going to be like the next greatest player or tight end, but, man, when he played for us in preseason games, we've been to the red and blue practices.
He went off.
I mean,
when everybody was hurt.
He goes off.
Yeah.
Man. So I'm really excited to see how Tommy Sweeney works out. And we also got Jacob Hollister, who apparently through these observations they're saying that he's showing some really good quickness as a tight end, which is something we need as well. These linebackers in this league are quick, fast, and
they're expected to be covering Travis Kelce and George Kittle most weeks, and the NFL, the tight end game is changing. There's guys around the league that you need to game plan against, and it's not just everyday guys now, and the Bills are trying to find their guy that's going to be the guy that you have to game plan against.
Absolutely. This offense is potent. This defense is just going to get better. We were getting real hot last year at the end of the season, which leads me to my next question before we let our bingers go, Graham. Who is the one player you are looking forward to possibly making that next big leap this year for the Buffalo Bills?
I asked this question online, and I hadn't really thought about it that much when I did ask it, but now thinking about it, I would really like to see Ed Oliver take a huge step forward this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much in the pass rush, but in the run-stopping game and just causing havoc and just being an all-around beast. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see is because that was what he was drafted for. That's what the news was on him and the idea that this dude's a beast and he's going to wreak havoc, and I haven't really seen it like I want to.
Yep.
So, I mean, I know your pick, and he's definitely another guy that I would pick.
Yeah.
Like there's guys on this team I'd really love to see take steps forward. Devin Singletary's another one.
Yep.
That's what I got.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I can see why. I like that one actually too because we did take him 9th overall.
Yes.
And he was known to be, other than the kid who went to the New York Jets, his name escapes me right now. I think it's Quinnen Williams. They were like 1-2 apparently.
Yeah.
And
interchangeable almost.
You could have interchanged them. Yep. So mine is going to be Tremaine Edmonds. 5th-year option was paid for this year. We got him locked up for another year. I want to see this 22-year-old just be the actual predator on the field.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong. It's not that he has not been productive. It's not that he hasn't shown glimpses of excellence. I just want to see excellence more consistent out of this young man. I think the one thing I'm really looking forward to watching with Tremaine this year is the play action game. I believe you and I spoke about this on the show, a show prior, about that was when we found Tremaine to be the most susceptible. He would come too far up in the play action, and the tight end would catch it right over behind him.
Yeah,
that's going to be the big. If I watch him handle play actions better this year, I'm totally okay with the rest of his play. He's getting 100 tackles a year.
Right.
He's getting interceptions. He's batting balls down. I'm excited to see how they transition him into the pass game in terms of rushing the quarterback. They started to do that a little bit last year. I really think that this year we're going to see a different level of Tremaine Edmonds, and I'm excited to watch that next push.
I can't agree more with you on that last statement. I really think that we are going to see a different level of this guy this year, which is why I don't think that he's the guy that needs to take the biggest step. I think Ed Oliver is. Right. But I agree with you on what he needs to do. Maybe not so much just the play action game, but reading and reacting as a whole is something that I'd really like to see him take a step forward on. But yeah, guys, if you guys have, I want to know what you guys think, what your comment is on that, who you guys think is the player that needs to take the biggest step forward. If you guys are watching this at a later time, leave a comment on the video.
We'll touch on it.
Yeah, we'll touch on it. We'll talk about it, and we'll get back to you on it. We want to know what you guys think, because I did speak to a gentleman earlier this week about it, and he told me Josh Allen, and I thought he was insane. I really did. I understand where he's coming from with thinking that Josh Allen needs to take the biggest step forward because that's your leader, that's your guy.
Yep.
But the guy finished second in the MVP voting.
Yep.
He took you to the AFC Championship game. I think that at this point, you're just expecting Josh Allen to do the same, if not a little bit better as last year. And you're expecting guys around him to really start stepping up.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm at. My mentality.
I could also see where he's coming from as well.
Oh, I do. I
just for the sole purpose of like those plays where Josh should probably be throwing the ball away,
right?
And he doesn't. He takes like a 10-yard sack or something,
or throws interception.
Yeah. So, but I will say Josh Allen took a huge step last year, and I don't think he's going to be going downhill anytime soon. That's why I'm really excited that the running backs they got in the room. I'm sure they're going to try to keep his legs as fresh as possible. They don't want to see Josh running that much anymore. I think we're going to start to see a dumbed down version of Josh in the option games.
We'll see.
But hey, everybody's got their opinion. We love it, and that's why we keep reiterating, do not be afraid to tell us your opinion.
Yes.
We are not always right, okay? We will definitely get you involved. We want to know your opinion. So, yeah, drop a comment. Who do you think needs to make the biggest jump this year? And while you're at it, if you can, like, follow, share, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, anywhere you listen to a podcast, we are right there. Look up The Buffalo Binge.
Well, not anywhere.
And you know what?
We're not on Odyssey and we're not on iHeartRadio.
Yeah, sorry.
So hopefully soon though, that'd be something cool.
We could be. We might be able to look into that. But everywhere else, take a look, leave a follow, leave a comment. We'd love to have your opinion. We've also got some merch that you can interchange the logo on anything you want. We're going to have a lot more of that coming your way too. You can check that out under our Twitch account. And Greg, I would love for you to say a couple words, man, because these people love your voice too. It's been a couple weeks. So if you have any closing statements before Graham and I wrap it up, let it fly, baby.
Nah, man. It's another great episode. Loved what you guys are doing. Appreciate everybody in the comments. And we got a new follower over on Twitch. So that's great.
There we go.
So another great show.
Give him a shout out, Greg.
Little Reactor is his name. So, I mean, we appreciate it. He was there for a little while, but we appreciate everybody when they tune in, and we have a good time doing it. So we love you guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yes, and we can't keep saying that enough. We love everybody who pays attention. Thank you again for another wonderful week of the Buffalo Binge. Thank you for joining us. And, I mean, I hope I see you next week under that watching me live type of tab. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
It's good to see you, Graham. Thanks again, guys. And as always,
Binge on.